Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Satashri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astottara Satashri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nantakoti Vaishnav Vrindi की जय, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री नवद्वीप मायपुर धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistuki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha, text number 53. Yata Pumam Na Swangeshu Shira Ani Adishu Kvachid Parakya Buddhim Kurute Evam Bhuteshu Matparaha Yata Pumam Na Sargeshu Sira Pani Adishu Kvachit Parakya Buddhim Kurute Evam Bhuteshu Matparaha Yata Pumam Na Swangeshu Sira Pani Adishu Kvachit Parakya Buddhim Kurute Evam Bhuteshu Matparaha Yata Pumam Na Swangeshu Sira Pani Adishu Kvachit Parakya Buddhim Kurute Evam Bhuteshu Matparaha. Pumam Sangeshu Evam Bhuteshu Matparaha. Yata, as Pumam, a person, na, not, Swangeshu, in his own body, Sira Pani Adishu, between the head and the hands and other parts of the body. Kvachit, sometimes. Parakya buddhim, differentiation. Kurute, make. Evam, thus. Bhuteshu, among living entities. Matparaha, my devotee. Translation: a person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, from any thing or any living entity. Please repeat. A person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, from any thing or any living entity. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Whenever there is disease in any part of the body, the whole body takes care of the ailing part. Similarly, a devotee's oneness is manifested in his compassion for all conditioned souls. Bhagavad Gita 5:18 says, Pandita Sama Darshina, those who are learned see everyone's conditional life equally. Devotees are compassionate to every conditioned soul, and therefore they are known as Aparakya Buddhi. Because devotees are learned and know that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, they preach Krishna consciousness to everyone so that everyone may be happy. If a particular part of the body is diseased, the whole attention of the body goes to that part. Similarly, devotees care for any person who is forgetful of Krishna and therefore in material consciousness. The equal vision of the devotee is that he works to get all living entities back home, back to Godhead. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurul Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuthapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Satadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Pascheta Dishatharini Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Tita Nam Bhabinebhyo Vaishnav Peyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation. A person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, from anything or any living entity. So the Lord continues to speak. Prabhupada writes, whenever there is a disease in any part of the body, the whole body takes care of that ailing part. So we get some idea how the body works. If you're diseased, actually according to what Prabhupada is saying, the rest of the body is coming to help that ailing part. Similarly, Prabhupada continues, a devotee's oneness is manifested in his compassion for all conditioned souls. The Bhagavad Gita 5:18 says, Pandita Sama Darshina, those who are learned see everyone's conditional life equally. And devotees are compassionate to every conditioned soul, and therefore they are known as Aparakya Buddhi. So this is a point that comes up, very important point for all of us, especially those who are following Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying, devotees are compassionate to every conditioned soul. How we are conditioned is we are in ignorance. We simply think in terms of this body. Although we go to so many funerals, every day someone is passing away, and then we should inquire, what's the difference between a dead body and a living body? And with this inquiry comes the spiritual knowledge. This inquiry makes us learned, because this is what Lord Krishna wants. He wants us to inquire, especially when we have this human form of life. It is a life of responsibility. It's a life to inquire about the spiritual aspect of our life. We see every day everyone is acting in the same way. It's a hard struggle for existence, karshati, hard struggle for existence. And people are simply working hard day and night to simply maintain their sense gratification. And in this way we become conditioned. So this is conditional life, forgetfulness of Krishna. So devotees' compassion is, in the Nectar of Devotion, it is described that compassion means that one cannot bear to see the distress of others. This is compassion. It's very important point, especially as we try to progress in Krishna consciousness. This aspect becomes prominent of compassion, how to share Krishna consciousness with others. We'll find in the pastimes of Lord Krishna is simply compassion. his dealings with his intimate followers, his dealings with the so-called demons. They're all like, they're very, it's compassion, because when we read them and try to understand them, then we are elevated. We make spiritual advancements simply by hearing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Then we find that Krishna appears again 500 years ago as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is out of compassion that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Krishna appears as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's out of compassion of a great devotee, Sri Advaita Acharya. Sri Advaita Acharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, and he appeared before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, Mayapur area. And when he, as an elderly person, he looked at the population. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Yashoda Damodar ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Gaur Hari ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Advaita Acharya Prabhu, as an elder in that community in Mayapur, Navadvip, he saw that how the people at that time became so engrossed in sense gratification. They were so forgetful of Krishna. They were devoid of devotional service. So this pained him. He felt distressed. And so this showed his compassion, that he really felt the distress of others, and because they were so forgetful of Krishna, that he prayed in his ashram on the bank of the river Ganges. He prayed to Lord Krishna, and he worshipped the Lord with Ganges water and tulasi leaves, and he sincerely prayed for the Lord to appear. So this is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in Mayapur, in Navadvip. And Lord Chaitanya's life is all about compassion. Here's a great devotee, Srila Rupa Goswami, prays, or he glorifies Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or he recognizes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the most magnanimous devotee. Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurati Vishay Namaha. So this is a prayer by Srila Rupa Goswami to Lord Chaitanya. O most munificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. This is compassion. This is the mercy. Pure love of Krishna. Prabhupada continues, because devotees are learned, they know that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they preach Krishna consciousness to everyone so that everyone may be happy. Prabhupada now is also giving us instructions as devotees. Because devotees are learned and know that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, they preach Krishna consciousness to everyone so that everyone may become happy. So there are three types of devotees: the first class, the second class, and the third class. The first class devotee, he sees everyone as a devotee of Krishna. The second class, he sees the devotee and the non-devotee. And the third class devotee, he simply sees Krishna in the place of worship and is only concerned about his own spiritual advancement. So the preacher is on the second class. He's in the second class devotee, because he can see those who are devotees and those who are non-devotees. Therefore, we will find many cases, the topmost or the first class devotees, they come down to the second class of devotees. Because on this platform they'll be able to go out and preach. If you see everyone as a devotee, there's no need for preaching. Sometimes you hear our senior devotees, they say they don't do much preaching in Vrindavan because everyone's a devotee. They simply go for their bhajan and for parikrama and things like that. So as a second class devotee, you can see the distinction between a devotee and non-devotee. Therefore, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here, he started this Sankirtan movement, this preaching movement in India, and especially in Navadvip, Mayapur. And he would send his most confidential devotees out preaching every day. And two great devotees, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, they were the leaders of this preaching movement. And at one time, they were preaching and they came across Jagai and Madai, who were drunkards, and they were simply engaged in sense gratification. They had no sense of religion or spiritual life or Krishna consciousness. And they were approached by Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda, and as a result they attacked Lord Nityananda. So this is a case of compassion by the devotee, that he preaches to the most fallen persons. He doesn't see if someone's a drunkard or someone's well situated. He just goes out and he preaches to anyone. Especially we've seen our book distributors, immediately whoever they see, they're going to offer a book. And then you'll see on our Harinam team, we're simply going in every way and then chanting, and people are forced to hear the Hare Krishna mantra. So in this way, Lord Nityananda and Haridas, they were ultimately able to deliver these two brothers, Jagai and Madai, from the sinful life, and eventually they were brought back to their original position as devotees. So here we see again how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much mercy and compassion. It is simply how to bring everyone back to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada continues, if a particular part of the body is diseased, the whole attention of the body goes to that part. Similarly, devotees care for any person who is forgetful of Krishna and therefore in material consciousness. And in material consciousness. The equal vision of the devotee is that he works to get all living entities back home, back to Godhead. This is Srila Prabhupada's mission. Srila Prabhupada was instructed by his guru to write books and distribute them. So that's what Prabhupada did. And his whole life was a preparation, as he says, for what was to come at the end. And in 1965 he got a free passage on a cargo ship. And while on this cargo ship, he wrote two poems. One, a prayer to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And there he prays or questions Lord Krishna, why have you brought me to America? Most of the population here, they are in the modes of ignorance and passion. How will I get this message of Krishna consciousness to them? And it's a very nice poem where Prabhupada reveals his heart to Lord Krishna and prays to Krishna for his mercy and blessings so he can carry out the instruction. And at the end, just before Prabhupada could sign the poem, he says, I've been designated as a Bhakti Vedanta. Bhakti, devotion, and Vedanta, or the conclusion of knowledge. Prabhupada is saying that I have neither devotion and I have no knowledge, but I have firm faith in the holy name of Lord Krishna. This is our, Prabhupada is giving the secret of success. Firm faith in the holy name of Krishna. In this way, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we'll be able to do things we never thought we could ever do. We just look at our lives before coming to Krishna consciousness. And if you look at our lives now, you'll think, how am I doing these things? So many things, how we are doing it. It's simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. As Prabhupada is saying, that he had firm faith in the holy name of Krishna, that he was able to carry out the instruction of his spiritual master and go out and try and save others. The equal vision of the devotee is that he works to get all living entities back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes in the early days, in 1965 in New York, Prabhupada would go to the Brooklyn Bridge on the East River, and he would sit down, he was alone, and he would think of going back to India. But then always he thought of his instruction of his spiritual master. And we'll find, although Prabhupada was the chosen one, he was chosen by Lord Chaitanya to carry out that instruction. Lord Chaitanya, he preached Krishna consciousness all over India, but he did not leave India. He made one prediction that the holy name of Lord Krishna would spread through every town and village of the world. And now, when we come into Krishna consciousness, we know that Srila Prabhupada is that person. But it was not easy for Srila Prabhupada to carry out the mission, to carry out or fulfill that prediction by Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada had to work very hard himself. Although he was the empowered one to carry out the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't receive everything on the plate. He himself, he had to go through family life, business life, and then to detach himself, and then at an old age, living alone in one temple in Vrindavan, and then he would go every day or quite often to Delhi to get his magazine printed. And traveling at that time in India was like not easy, the train and with the rickshaws. So it was very difficult. And then going to America at the age of 70, suffering 2 heart attacks on the ship. We could see by Prabhupada's life that he worked very hard. He tolerated the problems of his body, things like that, because he had that compassion, genuine compassion, to save others. As Prabhupada is saying, the equal vision of the devotee is that he works to get all living entities back home, back to Godhead. In the beginning of our Krishna consciousness, we may not have such strong faith and determination as Prabhupada has. We may not have that compassion. We may not feel pain to see the distress of others. We may be happy in our little comfort zone and do whatever we can. We may not have that genuine feeling of compassion, but we can try and serve and assist those who have that compassion. Now we see in our movement there are so many devotees, by their spiritual practice, by the austerities that they performed, they have this genuine compassion for other living entities. We should be able to see that and try and assist them in whatever way we can, going out with them on preaching or whatever activities they are doing to spread the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. We should simply try to become their assistants. And in this way, by our practice as well, then we can eventually one day, maybe in this lifetime or in some future lifetime, also have that genuine compassion. Not artificial or incomplete compassion. Complete compassion, as Prabhupada is speaking in this purport, to try and help and save others. It's the only this Krishna consciousness movement can give one complete liberation. And that is through the chanting of the holy name. Whatever we do, we go out, we distribute books, prasadam, is to bring people to come and hear this philosophy. And ultimately behind this philosophy, all the books that Prabhupada has presented, is to convince us to take up Krishna consciousness. And in this way, we'll have that vehicle to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Let's stop there and you can add on and comment.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful class. Past few classes you've been giving have been really, really good. Thank you. Well, just a few points that I noted down. I remember one class by His Holiness Swami Bhagavan Keshav Swami. He actually explains, for a devotee, if you're walking on the street and you see conditioned souls walking by, and you don't feel pain to see, their condition, that they aren't coming to Krishna, that shows that your heart is hard. Your heart is very, it's like stone, I think, something like that. You aren't feeling that compassion. So yeah, very nice point about that in the beginning. And then another point that you made later on about how to get compassion. That was very good, getting it through association, getting it through serving those who have the genuine compassion. Because actually, by our own kind of mental speculation, sometimes we feel that we can develop some good qualities by our own endeavor. But actually our process is mercy, is kripa. His Grace Sachikumar Prabhu told me once that I was asking him about becoming puffed up when your devotional service is going well, or when serving the spiritual master, and he said you shouldn't get puffed up because nothing that you do is by your own endeavor. We're made through and through by mercy. So getting compassion, getting these good qualities, it only comes, as you were saying, through the association of those who have it. Those who have can give. If we don't have, we can't just manufacture it. So yeah, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.